So now we're going to talk about the concept of relevant range. Do you remember Lisa? Lisa is a college student and decided to start a small business operating out of her parents' garage. Her business is a merchandising business that sells jeans. Lisa sells jeans for $50 that she buys for $25. And her small company sales have slowly risen each quarter, as you can tell by looking at her income statement. So Lisa's business has rising sales volume. As Lisa made more sales of jeans, her cost of goods sold has risen because, as she sells more jeans, she has to buy more jeans to meet the demand. So cost of goods sold increases. This cost of the jeans is a variable cost, and Lisa's parents charge her $100 rent per quarter to use the garage for her business. Because this cost does not change as the volume of jeans sales changes, it's considered a fixed cost, because changes in sales volume do not affect the cost. Whether she sells 0 jeans or 50 jeans, rent will still be $100. So let's calculate the quantity of jeans that she has sold each quarter. Sales in the first quarter were $100. And she sells jeans for $50, so she must have sold 2 pairs of jeans in the first quarter, 3 pairs in the second quarter, 4 pairs in the third quarter, and 5 pairs in the fifth quarter. So it's really a very tiny business. And during this time, her fixed cost, which was renting her parents' garage for $100 per quarter, remained the same. But let's say her business grows exponentially and she is able to sell 500,000 pairs of jeans in a quarter. At that level of sales volume, she would have to move the business out of her parents' garage and rent a much bigger space. So even though her rent is a fixed costs can differ from one relevant range of sales volume to another. So it's important for management to understand relevant ranges, which we'll explain more on the next slide. So what we were looking at here is a graph of the TEDS tablet's fixed costs and how they change based on 3 different relevant ranges, which are ranges of tablet production. If the company expects to produce 2,400 tablets next year, the relevant range is between 2,001 and 4,000 tablets, and managers will plan for fixed costs of $144,000. So their fixed costs do not change if they produce anywhere from 2,001 to 4,000 tablets. To produce more than 4,000 tablets, TEDS tablets will have to expand the company. This will increase total fixed costs for added rent, supervisory salaries, and equipment costs. The graph shows that total fixed cost increases to $216,000 as the relevant range shifts to this higher band of volume. Conversely, if the company expects to produce fewer than 2,001 tablets, the company will budget only $72,000 of fixed cost. Managers will have to lay off employees or take other actions to cut fixed costs. So fixed costs are only fixed within the relevant range. Relevant range is the range of volume where total fixed cost remains constant and the variable cost per unit remains constant. So keep in mind that total fixed costs can differ from one relevant range to another. And variable cost per unit can differ in various relevant ranges. For example, remember the $55 cost of the battery that is required for each tablet? Well, if the company increases production to the 4,001 to 6,000 unit level, TEDS tablets may get a 10% discount on battery costs because they are purchasing a larger quantity of batteries. To estimate costs, managers need to know the relevant range because total fixed costs can differ from one relevant range to another, and the variable cost per unit can differ in various relevant ranges. We also need to remember that costs are classified as either variable or fixed based on a certain activity. For example, a variable cost to one activity could actually be classified as a fixed cost relative to another activity. Or a fixed cost relative to one activity could be classified as a variable cost relative to another activity. What does all this mean? Well, let's do an example. Let's say Ted's Tablets leases cars for its sales representative, and the amount of the lease is the same each month, $500 per car. And for each salesperson, there's one car, but Ted's Tablets only has one salesperson. So here's the question. Relative to the number of tablets produced, is the cost of the lease a variable or fixed cost? Well, whether Ted produces one tablet or a million tablets, he still has a $500 per month lease expense. So it's a fixed cost relative to the number of tablets produced. But relative to the number of sales representatives, is the cost of the lease a variable or fixed cost? Well, if Ted has one sales representative, they have one leased car at $500 a month. But if they have three sales representatives, now this cost is increased to $1,500 per month. So the cost of the lease is a variable cost relative to the number of sales representatives the company hires. The more sales reps, the higher the lease cost. So, as I mentioned before, for all the examples in the video and the homework, when classifying costs as either fixed or variable, classify them relative to the number of units produced or sold, unless told otherwise. So we've learned that all costs are either variable, fixed, or mixed. And mixed costs can be broken down into their variable and fixed components in order to help the company forecast and control cost.